Kwan ben so na first use for loops in computer programming. And the while loop no, you see variable initialization. The also use condition. And now you use instructions to run. And now you also a friend counter update. They use these 4 terms to construct the while loop. These same terms are used under for loop, just that the arrangement is known as assistant kakra. So we use the same terms under for loop, but with different arrangement. The same thing. So we have the variable initialization, condition, we have instructions to run, then counter update. The general format of the for loop. For keyword no ebaba. Then we are na be parenthesis. So we have the open bracket, then the close bracket. How the arrangement is done inside the bracket. The edikan ibenya variable initialization. The variable initialization no ebaba. Then we end it with a semicolon. So always after the variable initialization, we end it with the semicolon. After variable initialization, then condition ebe follow. And also you are ending with the semicolon. The last time I was a bracket in the update counter. After for loop na abano, I was a variable initialization ever. If we are condition at waso, after condition no, na yenya counter and as a update counter. After this, then you be curly bracketing. The aha na code a person a running under the for loop na ebeko. So you open the curly bracket, then codes to run. Then after that we end it with the closing curly bracket. In the first general format way for the for loop, the same thing as the while loop, but with different arrangement. So variable initialization, condition, update counter, and parenthesis anymore. Then inside the curly bracket, we have the codes to run. The JavaScript, C programming language, C++, Java, any Java account, they use this format. The except Python programming, I don't know, there was some slight changes be the how for loop is also constructed under Python programming language. In the JavaScript, C++, Java, they use this format to construct a for loop. The ancient JavaScript, kwanya ye faso a constructed for loop under JavaScript. There were 4 keywords no ever. Nyan say we are be parenthesis. So they did kind variable initialization. There who say let I equal 1. Then we end it with the semicolon. Then after that, then we have our condition. Here condition I checking here I less than 6. So I less than 6. Now you are ending also with the semicolon. Then we are near update counter. The update counter here I equal I plus 1. So we say the same terms and the while loop, but with different arrangement. After that, now you be curly bracketing, then the code to run, and also the follow. So here under JavaScript, you see console.log, then fetch water inside the parenthesis. You initialize your variable to 1. The condition of check it. I by 1, I less than 6. Indeed, I is less than 6. I print it. Fetch water, near code 2, then a move code 3, then a move code 4. So 5 less than 6 is still true. The console.log fetch water ever running. Then I know by update here about 6. To be do 6, ebenya 6 less than 6, which will give us false. To ebenya false, and then the loop, and I said the for loop will end here. So at the end of the day, the bring output as fetch water, fetch water, fetch water, fetch water, fetch water. Printing to the screen how many times? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Because your static counter from 1. Java programming language so. And also you see the same format. JavaScript, Java, C, C++, and some other programming language. And you see this format to construct for loop. And also instead of console.log or JavaScript, now system.out.println fetch water. See, I started 1. So 1 less than 6, true. Then fetch water will be printed. Now I have a 2. So 2 less than 6, true. Then fetch water will be printed. Now I increment 3. 3 less than 6, true. Then fetch water will be printed. Now I have 4. Then 4 less than 6. So we know 4 less than 6 is true. Then fetch water will be printed. Now I have 5. Then 5 less than 6 is true. Fetch water will be printed. Now I increment above 6. 6 less than 6 false. The so condition be false, then the loop will end. So at the end of the day, the bring output as fetch water, fetch water, fetch water, fetch water, fetch water. Printing to the screen how many times? 5. So under while loop, like I say, you see while loop. Normally, if we don't know the number of times we want to perform the loop, and as I repeat some set of instructions, but under for loop, you see for loop, when we know the number of times a person perform it, and as a person running some codes. So for loop is normally used when we know the number of times we want to loop through codes. The while loop, we may not know the number of times a person you loop, but under for loop, always we know the number of times we want to loop through some codes. The after do while loop. The do while loop also execute and I say run at least once and sana I check the condition. The say always while loop the condition is checked first and sana code run it. For loop also the same thing. The condition is checked first and sana code run it. But under do while loop, the code runs at least once and sana yababa check condition. It's actually how the do while loop is also constructed. It's actually the general format of do while loop. So you have keyword variable name equal value. So you have initialization of the counter. So you declare variable name, then we initialize it with the first value. After that, do keyword never. Now for you curly bracketing. Inside the curly bracketing, there were instructions to run. The hana code that a person run ever. Then after that, you increase and as you decrease what counter. To write under the instructions to run a work and I will say you increase counter and as you decrease counter. So the counter update is performed right after the instructions to run. Here we are. Now you are closing with the curly bracket. Now after you are check condition. After that, while keyword in the baba, then we put the condition inside parentheses. Do while loop and also format a using keyword variable name equal value. That's the counter. Then if we are going to do keyword, then be curly bracket instructions to run at also. Then the counter update. The counter update in which my say you increase the counter no, and I say decrease counter no. After that we end the curly bracket. Now while keyword at also, and then we put the condition inside the parenthesis. The person we to say under do while loop, the condition is checked after the codes under do keyword has run. And in a case the do while loop execute at least once before it checks for the condition. The first construct do while loop under JavaScript. Let I equal 0, that's initialization of counter. Now do keyword then we open the curly bracket. Then let's say we want to run console.log fetch water. Then after that we say update counter. So here we have I equal I plus 1. After that the closing curly bracket comes. Then we have the while keyword, then the condition inside the parenthesis. With this code you say before answer computer no ebe check condition no ebe run console.log fetch water at least once, then it will increment the counter before it comes to check what the condition. Java programming language so, and also your int I equals 0, initialization of counter. Now do keyword but then open curly bracket. Then you have system.out.println. So fetch water. Now we increment what counter, and as you update counter. Then we have the while keyword, then I less than 5. That's the condition. This is the format you follow when we are constructing do while loop. The Python programming language, any do while loop construct already built into the language. They say Java programming language, any JavaScript programming language. You see number of techniques and they represent do while loop in Python programming language. The Python programming language any do while loop already built into the system, but we use some number of techniques in order to represent do while loop in Python programming language. The initial lesson recap. I was a lesson when say you repeat an activity for some number of times and then you friend loop. Now your for loop is why you have 3 main types of loops. You have while loop, you have for loop, and you have do while loop. You sound so say loop have 4 main parts. Loop have 4 main parts. You have variable initialization, you have condition, you have activities, and after you have update counter, and as a counter update. As also say while loop, you see while loop when we do not know the number of times a person you repeat some codes. You person repeat those codes as long as the condition is true. Then for loop repeat a no number of times. You see for loop when we know the number of times we want to loop through some codes. And do while loop you say run it at least once before it checks the condition. Assignment. Explain the term loop. Write the 4 main parts of a loop. Write down the general format for writing for loop. Do while loop execute at least once, true or false. There was a small challenge with Emma. The person print it from 1 to 10 on our screen. Write down either a while loop or for loop to do this in any language of your choice. So which way you see JavaScript programming language, which way you see Java programming language. So any language of your choice. Let's say over subscribe to this channel. Na wa like video. Na fi wa share ama afufo nso. Yen share lesson 8.